We're back talking about my favourite subject here, Alien Romulus, and honestly, the more I think about this film, the worse it gets. Sure, it was a massive box office success, and the franchise probably needed that win. It's undeniably well made, visually stunning, and all the rest. But speaking as a fan, Romulus has its fair share of problems, and they're not doing the franchise any favours. In my opinion, the time period it's set in and the narrative choices feel like they've been pulled out of a hat marked convenient but silly. Let's get into why this film feels like a bit of a chestburster for fans of the originals. First off, there's the whole business with Ripley. In Aliens, she wakes up, traumatized after decades in cryo sleep, and has to convince the Weyland-Yutani suits that xenomorphs are a real and present danger. And how do they respond? With the same enthusiasm you'd expect if she'd asked for a J.J. Abrams film that made sense. That disbelief is crucial. It drives the plot forward, makes us root for Ripley, and solidifies the company's image as clueless, greedy fools. But Romulus casually jettisons all that. Turns out Weyland-Yutani already knew about xenomorphs all along. They've got footage of big chaps stashed somewhere, probably in the company's version of Google Drive, along with the black goo and who knows what else. So why didn't they believe Ripley in Aliens? Were they just pretending? Did they lose the password to their alien files? Or were they too busy figuring out how to profit off Ripley's PTSD? It's baffling, and it makes her entire struggle feel unnecessary and frankly a bit insulting. Ripley's fight to be heard is part of what made her such an incredible character, and this decision retroactively robs her story of its power. Then we've got this nonsense about creating facehuggers from xenomorph DNA, just skipping the eggs entirely. Be honest, that's ridiculous. Xenomorphs are an alien species with their own horrifying, perfect life cycle. Tampering with their DNA isn't just unnecessary, it's lazy. It feels like the writers ran out of ideas and thought, let's just Frankenstein this up a bit. Much like they did with Alien Covenant, which wasn't exactly a masterstroke either. This approach makes the aliens feel less special and a lot less terrifying. What's next? Customizable facehuggers you can order in different colours? I'll take the one in rainbow glitter, thanks. And let's not forget how this completely sidelines the importance of the Queen. The Queen was a brilliant addition to the lore in Aliens, elevating the xenomorph threat without overcomplicating it. But Romulus makes her feel irrelevant, which doesn't sit well with me at all. Now, onto the black goo. Honestly, don't get me started. Introducing it into the timeline undermines one of the franchise's most powerful moments, Ripley's sacrifice in Alien 3. She throws herself into the fire to stop the xenomorphs once and for all. It's gut-wrenching, heroic, and the perfect ending to her story. But if Weyland-Yutani already had this magical goo and enough xenomorph data to start their own breeding program, then what was the point? Ripley's death feels meaningless. The cloning plot in Alien Resurrection becomes redundant, and the emotional weight of her journey evaporates faster than a xenomorph in a vacuum. The survival of the aliens is another major issue, isn't it? The franchise now feels like one of those endless slasher films where the killer never truly dies and always comes back for the sequel. Every time Ripley or another crew takes down a xenomorph, it's supposed to mean something. A hard-fought victory against an unstoppable force, but Romulus seems to shrug and say, nah, they don't die, ever. It cheapens the earlier films. Even the Queen from Aliens, who was spectacularly blasted into space, now feels like she could reappear at any moment. She can apparently cocoon herself now, which is just no. And if the Queen from AVP is fair game, yes, I know, not canon, but hear me out. What's stopping her from laying eggs in the ocean? Can you imagine? Xenomorph whales, giant squid. Sure, it sounds cool on paper, but it's a slippery slope to outright silliness, or at best, a spectacular comic spin-off. The real tragedy here is that the xenomorphs lose their edge. In the original Alien, they were terrifying precisely because we didn't understand them. They were alien in every sense, mysterious, deadly, and utterly unknowable. But now, with all this over-explaining, black goo nonsense and DNA tinkering, they've lost that mystique. They're no longer cosmic horrors. They're just another lab experiment gone wrong with new powers added whenever the plot needs a boost. In the end, Romulus feels like it's trying to do too much without thinking about the consequences for the franchise. Expanding the universe is all well and good, but not if it makes everything that came before it feel pointless. Ripley deserves better, the xenomorphs deserve better, and frankly, so do we. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, give it a like and subscribe for more. Cheers.